And in this episode, I show you how to blanch some asparagus, make a creamy goat cheese polenta, set a pan on fire, I make a weird face, and I also plate up this delicious blackened salmon. Welcome back to More Approved. I'm James, and today I'm showing you how to make a blackened salmon in a white wine cream sauce served over the top of a creamy goat cheese polenta and with a side of jumbo asparagus. Let's get started. To make great asparagus, you're going to want to take and blanch and shock them first. All you need is a pan of boiling salted water, the asparagus obviously, and then an ice bath to stop the cooking process in. Our water is up to a boil. Let's go ahead and get started. It's been about a minute. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out of here and drop it into my ice bath. We're going to let this cool down and get started on our polenta. For the goat cheese polenta, you're going to want a half a cup of polenta, which is basically just yellow cornmeal that is not instant rise, as well as 1 cup of water, 1 cup of heavy cream, a half a teaspoon of chicken base, a dash of wine, 1/4 teaspoon of Italian seasonings, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. This is up at a nice rolling boil, so you're going to want to take a whisk that around, and then slowly funnel in the cornmeal, because you don't want to have any clumps in this. So it's starting to come together nicely. And I'm just going to go ahead and start turning that temperature down. Keep it from spitting all over the kitchen or wherever you may be cooking it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the heat. And put the lid on it. I'm going to use half of this little pack of goat cheese. Just add that right in there. And I will just take a spatula, divide through that goat cheese, and then start stirring it in. At this point, you can put it on a low heat and then stir it consistently for 2 to 3 minutes, and you'll be in pretty good shape. I'm going to set this off to the side to keep warm, and we'll get started on our salmon. When it comes to salmon, I always recommend fresh. Frozen salmon can tend to be fishy, and it really has lost all the semblance of the original dish. If you've ever had salmon that was from frozen before at home, you're like, oh, that was terrible. It tastes nothing like this. Fresh salmon makes all the difference in the world. To get started with this particular portion of it, I'm just actually going to be using Chef Paul Prud'homme's Blackened Redfish Magic. This is a great blackened seasoning. I use this in pretty much everything, and you want to be pretty generous with this. So we're going to start with the non-skin side. I'm going to go ahead and season this up. We're going to preheat our pan, put a little bit of oil in there, and then we're going to put the non-skin side down into the pan and then season the skin side of it. This is going to be our presentation side, so this will be facing up when we put it on the plate. You always want to start with that side first. Let's go ahead and put in our seasoned salmon. All right. And we're just going to go ahead, put some seasoning on the back side of this. This is the skin side. This will be down on the plate. I'm just going to pat that in gently. And we don't want it to burn, so we're just going to turn down the heat a little tiny bit. We want to hear that, but we don't want it to start burning on that side. It's been about 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and lift this up and take a look at that side. I'm happy with that consistency. I'm going to go ahead and flip that over, turn down the heat a little bit, and I'm going to set the lid back on the pan, and we're going to get started on our sauce. All right, our salmon is about half cooked at this point. I'm going to go ahead and get started on the sauce for this, and then it's going to finish cooking inside the sauce. We're going to want to first start by deglazing this with a little bit of white wine. Remove it from the fire. And then you can add in your wine, and as you can see. And that is the reason why you do not add any sort of alcohol into a pan that is very hot while it's still over a flame, because if you do that, it can actually go up into the bottle, blow the back off, and you basically have a firestorm on your hands. Next thing we're going to do is I have about 3 ounces of a chicken stock. You could also use like a lobster base or like a clam stock, clam juice, something along those lines to give it a slightly different flavor. I'm opting to go with the chicken stock now. We're gonna let this cook and then reduce down by about half. And after it is reduced down by half, we're gonna go ahead and put our heavy cream in, and then we're gonna take and squeeze a little bit of fresh lemon juice on that, season up with a little bit of salt, and then some fresh ground black pepper. All right, this is reduced down by about half. I'm gonna go ahead and add in 4 ounces of heavy cream. And we'll give that a nice shake. And then we're gonna go ahead and add just a little dollop of lemon juice in here. Don't need too much. If you put too much in here, it might curdle the heavy cream. So we're just getting a little bit of a flavor because we also have some acidity from our white wine as well. There we are. And we're going to toss in just a tiny little pinch of salt. And I'm going to use some fresh ground Tellicherry peppercorns. You could also use white pepper for this as well. All right, I'm happy with the way this is so far. I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid back on top of this. We're gonna go ahead and finish off our asparagus real quick and then start plating it. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in a little bit of olive oil, as well as a little tiny bit of butter, about a tablespoon. And while that's melting down, we're gonna go ahead, put in our asparagus. We're going to add some fresh ground pepper. A dab of salt. Some fresh squeezed lemon juice. And you want to be pretty generous with the lemon juice at this base. And just give her a little bit of a spin there. We're going to go ahead and turn down the heat. And the benefit of the blanching and shocking that we did earlier is all we have to do is make these warm now. So pretty much in a minute or less, your asparagus are ready to put on the plate. So we're going to go ahead and do that. At the very end, I always like to adjust the seasoning. So I'm going to add some of this blackened seasoning into that sauce. And I'm going to put another squeeze of lemon juice in here. And we are going to add about a tablespoon of butter into this, or half a tablespoon of butter, your choice. This is going to give it a nice gloss and a sheen. So we're just going to melt this with butter here. Stir it in slowly, and that will also help to thicken the sauce a little bit as well. So we'll move all this out of the way and then put the salmon on the plate and we'll be done. We're just going to go ahead and gently slide our salmon. And we're going to take some of our sauce here. Just drizzle it on over. And that's all she wrote. Blackened salmon with a white wine cream sauce over goat cheese polenta and sauteed asparagus. And that wraps up this episode. Thanks for watching More Approved. I'm James. Till next time, see you then.